The poem The Summer Day by Mary Oliver was the inspiration for this service. So I'll read it now. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? And now let's sing together hymn number 16, "'Tis a Gift to be Simple."
"'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning, turning we come round right."
Our speakers this morning are Michael Maziak, Andrea Pierce, Scott Findley, and Carol Egbert. And so each of them has a reflection on this poem, and then we'll follow each one of them with a verse from hymn number 163, "For the Earth Forever Turning." And you'll see the words for the hymn up there on the screen. So without ado, I'd like to invite Michael Maziak to share his reflection with us.
I'm a Unitarian Universalist. I am such a Unitarian Universalist. It's not something I put on in the morning like a t-shirt and pants. For me, it's a core identity. I like to say of our religion that when I'm compassionate with others, it's your voices I hear. My UUism didn't appear in a flash conversion. It came slowly in tiny movements. And probably like many of you, it's a chosen faith. I hope to share some of what it means to me in the next few minutes. Honestly, I was at first daunted by the name of our denomination. I prefer the beauty of simple things, and needing to enunciate 11 syllables to say Unitarian Universalism seemed like a big ask, but there are benefits too. The name says a lot about our theology, and it provides a ready-made outline for an essay on the lived experience of our faith. When I speak of my faith, I'm appealing to my Unitarianism. What I mean is our shared experience of the world and my belief in the goodness of humanity. Of course, people can do terrible things, but what we do is not necessarily what we are. It's not overly optimistic to think the phrase from our covenant applies across borders, cultures, and time. That is, a unity that binds us together and makes us one. I once asked a UU minister if anything is immutable, and the response was instant and emphatic, the single word, love. Now, that stuck with me. Love is a good word for the gravitational center of our faith. And it leaves just a little bit of wiggly room for the magical, everlasting, and unchanging truth binding us all. So my Unitarianism anchors me. It's directed inward toward my heart. But my universalism is the complicated and wonderful thread that holds me securely in the story. Usually when universalism is mentioned, it at first recalls the divine nature of creation and the affirmation that all are saved, to borrow a Christian metaphor. But I believe, moreover, universalism has another fruitful and intriguing dimension suggested by the idea that playfulness is a fundamental feature of the universe. Let me explain. I first heard the idea from the 20th century philosopher Alan Watts. The playful universe is a recurring theme in his talks. For me, though, the most resonant evidence of Mother Nature's sense of humor comes from the science of abiogenesis, the study of how life can emerge from an inorganic process. It's clear Mother Nature seeks infinite variety at the least. More often, she seems profoundly enamored with wild and exotic diversity. Artificial intelligence may be the best example yet of how hilarious nature can be. It's as though her modus operandi is to seek every possible form of creature, every unimaginable permutation of anatomy, and manifest it without meaning. Caution to the winds. I believe that drive for new ways to express life is ubiquitous and universal. And this applies as well within the human family. Seeking pluralism could be the most rewarding of urges. In any case, universalism offers a deeply satisfying story for a multicultural global identity. So here we find ourselves, a congregation of like-minded souls. In this fragile space of our choosing, we listen to and care for and sometimes perhaps entertain each other. For me, joyful tears easily come when I try to hold the diversity of dreams, goals, and lifestyles that gather in this room every Sunday, that I may call you friends and family. This is my Unitarian Universalist song, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity to share it with you.
For the earth forever turning, for the skies for every sea, for our lives, for all we cherish, sing we our joyful song of peace.
And I'd like to welcome Andrea Pierce.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here today to share the formative elements that have shaped my faith, including relationships, careers, continuous education, and divine guidance. A theme in my life has been learning how to pay attention, as Mary Oliver writes. I was raised with a sense of service to country. My dad fought in World War II. My oldest brother was drafted into Vietnam, and their service was seldom remarked upon, but their examples led me to civil service, a career that became a cornerstone of my identity. In St. Louis, where I was raised, Mom took me to Baptist church regularly to save my soul, for sure. I felt called to God and by God at an early age and felt that awareness of a greater goodness. And occasionally I was moved by spirit in that very quiet, very formal congregation. But I felt in my heart that God was too awesome, too awe-inspiring and inclusive to fit into such a small box. Throughout my life, I have sought a church home, Presbyterian, Baptist, United Methodist, but they all felt limiting. Just before my 24th birthday, my father died, and it profoundly impacted me. His dying was long and slow, and my desire to understand what he needed in the last chapter of his life led me to a lifelong study of end-of-life issues and service, to include hospice volunteer training and end-of-life doula training, deep forms of paying attention. I began my civil service career as an immigration inspector with the former INS, which was the start of my service to my country. During training, I met my first husband, who I moved across the country to be with. He showered me with gifts and isolated me from family and friends. And as the abuse slowly escalated, the margins of my life narrowed, but my spiritual life flourished, and I prayed for guidance. And then one day, driving home from work, I cried out to God, "What should I do?" And lo, I heard the voice of the divine telling me, "If you stay here, you will die. If you stay here, you will die." A clear, clarion call of truth. I wonder if you've ever heard something that was so deeply, resoundingly true that your whole body rings with the truth of it. It was a profound gift, and it galvanized me to action, and it gave me the courage to leave the very next week and rebuild my life as a survivor in safety, in joy, and eventually find my true partner in Jim. As I listened to this voice and the leadings of my heart, my faith grew and my world expanded. And one of these led me to resign from civil service to consider a call to ministry. And I took a job at Wesley Seminary while in discernment. This ideal position was interrupted by the horrific events of 9/11, and I felt an urgent call to return to service, which I did. And then years later, after adopting my daughter and wanting to have more time with her and pursue a spiritual path, I resigned a second time from federal service. I became a certified spiritual coach with my own coaching practice and enrolled at One Spirit Interfaith Seminary in New York. And this transformational program, which was interfaith and interspiritual and experiential, deepened my commitment to the beloved divine in all of its guises, known and unknown, and greatly expanded my capacity for paying attention. At the end, I became an ordained interfaith minister and learned that minister is definitely a verb first. And then guess what? Yep, I returned to civil service a final time. And this time, I vowed to bring my whole self to work as much as possible. Amazingly, in addition to my regular duties as a section chief, I was trained and certified as a professional coach, and I coached other feds for 6 years. I was trained and certified as a mindfulness coach, and I led weekly mindfulness sessions beginning in the pandemic, which continued for several years. And I was honored to officiate at office memorials for coworkers who had died, and then hold sacred space for teammates as we grieved together. These opportunities deepened my paying attention skills, paying attention to others, to Mother Earth, and to the divine. And as I paid attention to the state of the nation, I realized that retiring was a wonderful idea and was lucky to be able to do so last year. Then in March, Jim and I discovered this church with its strong humanism and ecumenical tradition, integrating wisdom from various faiths, and we are so happy to have found you. Indeed, finding a church home helped solidify the next step in my faith journey as I finally applied to Wesley and was accepted to pursue my Master's of Divinity degree. Yes, this has been calling me for at least 25 years, and I think it's time to pay attention to it. I know that life can be a 4-letter word, but what a blessing it is. Thank you.
For the mountains, hills, and pastures in their silent majesty, for the stars, for all the heavens, sing we our joyful song of peace.
Scott, welcome to the podium.
Good morning. Mary Oliver begins the summer day by paying attention to a grasshopper. I wondered what would happen if I began by paying attention to what would be right in front of me this morning. So I wrote a poem about this podium. A summer day reflection. Who made this podium? I mean this one right here, with the wood finish, with a little ledge for my notes, and the microphone I am hoping is working. How does this thing work anyway? Does anybody know? Someone here probably knows. How many hands had a part in this? How many trees? How many trucks? Warehouses? Invoices? Phone calls? Mistakes corrected? Measurements taken? Screws tightened? What is it worth? And I don't just mean what it cost. I mean, what has been given so that I could stand here and speak? How much love went into this podium? How much love can come through it? I could go on and on. Couldn't we all? About the podium, about the the chair you're sitting in, about the coffee after the service, about the person next to you, about the breath moving in and out without being asked. Sometimes, when I'm nervous, I try to identify things with my senses. 3 things I see, 3 things I feel, 3 things I hear. It takes me out of myself, at least for a while. Or maybe it takes me more deeply into the world, this wood, this room, these voices, this morning, this one wild, ordinary, astonishing day.
For the sun, for rain and thunder, for the seasons' harmony, for our lives, for all creation, sing we our joyful praise to thee.
And Carol, I welcome you to the podium.
I've written something called Questions. Good morning. When Kara asked me to give a reflection on Mary Oliver's poem, The Summer Day, the first things that came to me were, why me? Can I do it? What will I say? When? How? Who, me? Should I? Will it be okay? Questions first. Questions may come from insecurity. I didn't know the poem. The first questions in the poem are questions that might be asked by a child who's been walking in a grassy field on a summer day. Children are filled with questions. Their questions can be answered simply. Her questions might be answered with a remembered biology class. It's okay to answer, I don't know where he went. It's a big world for a small caterpillar, grasshopper. Her questions may become more complex as our conversation continues, and we both become more comfortable asking or answering questions. Questioning and answering become more complex as we do. Children fall down into grass with ease. They pay attention, enjoy being idle, and are comfortable being blessed. Tell me, what should I have done? Or, what is prayer? A child might answer those questions like these were more confident than an adult. After carefully reading The Summer Day, even more questions came to mind. Does that happen to you? The origin of the word question traces back to the Latin quaere, defined as to ask, to seek knowledge on a difficult problem. Interrogation. There are so many possibilities. My favorite definition is a quest, an adventure, or to search for something valuable, literally, physically seeking. Sometimes questions have simple answers. I wonder, why not? Can I do it? Yes. When? Today. How? Verbally. Should I? Of course. Will it be okay? Certainly. Mary Oliver asked provocative questions. Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? I found a clear answer in one Mary Oliver poem. The title is Don't Hesitate. If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give in to it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. We are not wise and not very often kind, and much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibilities. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back, that sometimes something happens better than all the riches or power in the world. It could be anything, but very likely you'll notice it in the instant when love begins. Anyway, that's often the case. Anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy was not made to be a crumb. Mary Oliver, don't hesitate. Thank you.